Okay, yeah, that deer's 20 yards and it's quartering away, and you know right where you want to tuck it when you shot all summer when you're sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
But now you're 15, 20 foot up.
Yeah.
Now you got to compensate for that angle.
Yeah.
It took me a little bit to, okay, now I realize what I'm doing.
So I actually lost a deer because of that.
Did you?
The first year that I set a stand up at my house, I practiced with my bow when I could. I didn't have a lot of time, and I was also very new into archery with the bow that he gave me. And I remember him telling me, he's like, yeah, well, make sure you take a couple shots, out of the tree. Never had time. And one night, I had some free time, so I got up in the tree, and sure enough, I had a doe come out right in front of me. She was probably, where she was at, I'd say she was probably 20 yards, just about. And I remember I put my pin right where I thought I should, and I released, and she jumped, but she didn't jump the way I wanted her to jump. And I'm like, what happened? Did I hit her? Did I not? I was so new to this. And I got down, and you could still see where her hooves, like when she jumped, and then you saw my arrow, and it was right there.
Really?
It was directly under her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was holding dead on.
So did she duck or did she go up?
No, the arrow went under her, and then she jumped.
Oh,
The arrow hit directly between her legs.
Okay.
Little side note, stop hitting the table.
Actually, that's not so bad. As long as, sorry guys, you don't hear a, which we apologize. If you have made it through our tippy-tappy episodes, we really appreciate you.
But I didn't realize it was that big a deal to practice out of the stand. So, I mean, is it a little bit of a pain to, shoot a few arrows, get down, check them, climb back up, shoot again? Yeah, but I mean, I think it's kind of a necessity if you're not used to shooting out of a stand.
See, I don't have a stand, a place to put a stand. I will literally go up on my roof. My neighbors think I'm friggin' nuts. Standing up there just shooting off the roof. They look, what?
I mean, it's.
I guess I've never noticed it that much.
Well, at 20 yards, you won't. But you also know that much of a difference from where you're aiming at vitals to hitting it in the foot. That's a different issue.
I think there was nerves in there as well, because that was the first deer out of a stand I ever shot at.
Oh yeah, that's nerve-wracking.
But if you step off 50 yards on flat ground and then climb 20 feet up and you shoot at the same target, that's not 50 yards.
No.
That's a whole different distance.
Yeah.
So you're going to have a different point of impact.
I feel like you'd have more of an issue at like 5 or 6 yards.
5 or 6 is, I've shot some deer out of the stand at like 6, 7 yards.
And
like
30 to 40.
It's like your 20-yard pin is not close. Your 20-yard pin that close will hit low.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you got to think, minute of angle. My arrow's here, my sight's up here.
Yep.
Right.
So at close distance, I'm still trying to climb to hit that point. So at super close, you're going to hit low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to aim high.
So it feels weird, like you shoot a deer 6 yards out of a tree stand, you're aiming like right at the spine.
Honestly, at 6 yards, I wouldn't. I'd say this one's either going to smell me or give me an opportunity at 10 or 20.
The ones I've shot that were super close are because they picked me off and they're like, I'm like, okay,
Yeah,
you gotta go.
It's now or never.
They start stomping, they start looking around. When do I get an opening? I was like, I'm taking it.
We have one, actually, the first deer hunt on the Field to Food YouTube channel that was 8 yards. And although my shot was back, it was also low. And that was a complete panic situation. We were in a tree. I swear, her and I were both up in saddles. We were in a tree no bigger than this, and there was no cover. And we saw the deer for 45, 50 yards, and I drew back when he was 20. He was beelining straight for the base of our tree, and then he finally turned. And I knew if I stopped him, like he was going to look up and be like, hey, there's 2 people up in that tree.
Yeah.
So I let him keep on walking, and I shot while he was moving, but at 8 yards I didn't think too much of it. But I was low, and I was back, and that was completely my fault. We found him. It was one of the deer with the single bevels that had no blood, and had we known what we do now, he was dead within 5 minutes for sure.
Really?
But it was just luck of the draw.
Yeah.
Clip that. You just hit the right spot.
Yeah, and a lot of that with the single bevels comes back to make sure you sharpen them, right, and honestly, that's like with the single bevel, that's really all you got to do, which seems like a lot of work, but it's not. Like it's an hour and a beer.
That's the one thing I love about the broadheads that I shoot, with it being a 3-blade. the angle is already cut into them. So all you got to do is lay down a piece of sandpaper and just,
Yeah.
it's simple.
Yeah.
You guys, do you shoot broadheads into target? Do you ever practice with broadheads?
I do. And since I switched to the Iron Will this year with the
Ooh.
bleeder blade,
Big Yeah, you lose an arrow this year, you're crying.
yes, I will be. They were quite expensive.
Yeah, they're not cheap. I have not heard anything bad about it.
No, I know some guys that have shot and are like, I will never buy another broadhead again.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm hoping for, because the cutthroats that I had prior, although were fantastic, I shot a whole bunch of deer with them, and they held through the test of muscle tissue and time. On those further back shots, I was not getting anything for a blood trail. I wanted a bleeder blade in there, and Iron Will was the top of the line. And I'm like, you know what? This is what I do. This is where my money goes. I'm just gonna pull the trigger.
And I had a good buddy of mine explain it to me one time, and he said, you know, guys will spend $1,200 on a bow
And get
$300 for a sight, $200 in a release, $200 in your rest.
Yep.
And then they go
Shoot
buy
the cheapest,
$20.
Cheap out on the arrow and
they go
shooting
buy
Allen Grizzlies.
Yeah. They go buy a broadhead that costs $8 for one.
The only thing that actually touches the deer is the cheap thing.
Yep.
Does not make any
And
sense.
when he said that, I was like, man, that's a very valid
You
point.
shoot mechanicals, don't you?
Yes, right now I do.
Do you like them, or would you rather
What
go
I'm
back
shooting,
to?
No, what I'm shooting now, I don't.
Yeah.
I do not like it at all.
I could never get onto the mechanical train because my thought process was I am already trusting so much mechanical stuff to work. I don't want to have to hope that the one thing to do its job does the right thing.
And as far as just the science of it goes, if you are building up kinetic or potential energy here, and you're gonna want that to carry through to the other side of the deer, why are you gonna leave some energy on the table on impact with the mechanical? It just doesn't make a lot of sense.
They've come a long way since they first came around.
Yeah.
Like,
I've had great luck with them. The ones I've shot the last 2 years, it's been horrible. But for a long time, I shot G5s, and their mechanicals, I've loved them, man.
I know quite a few guys that shoot the Grim Reaper.
Yeah, I've heard
what are they?
things about
The Whitetail Pros,
Yeah.
I think they are, or something.
Yeah.
Whitetail 2s, I forget.
That's like the old Spitfire, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
3-blade
old-
mechanical.
Yeah.
They love them. They say they work flaw. I just can't. I shoot a Q80 Exodus.
Yeah, I shot that for a year.
I love that broadhead.
That
broadhead.
I shot that for a year. I don't think I didn't kill a deer with that, but it shot really well.
Yeah, I've killed.
For me, not knowing how to really tune my bow, it shot good.
I mean, I've shot every bit of probably 7 or 8 deer with them, and they've worked great. Even after impact, they still, I don't know what material they're making their ferrule and the tips out of, but that stuff is hard. I shot a doe last year, complete pass through, lodged in a tree, and there was nothing wrong with that broadhead.
Yeah.
The blades are so thick, they stay sharp. I don't know, they got to figure it out with that one. That's my favorite fixed blade I've ever shot.
That fixed blade has a lot of very good reviews.
And
I think a lot of guys use that for elk.
Yeah,
That Q80.
it's small. My dad shoots one. He shoots the company's called Sonic. The company's called American Broadhead Company, and the broadhead's called Sonic. It's a 1 1/16 inch broadhead.
Small.
But those blades are, I bet you, every bit of an 1/8 inch thick. And I don't think Dad's bought new broadheads. He can just keep resharpening them. I don't know how many times. I don't know how many deer he's killed with those broadheads. But they fly true and they work.
I want to be able to, and I don't. Some people will probably yell at me or argue with me for this, but if I have a deer facing me frontal, I want to be able to shoot it in the chest and not have to worry about it.
Yep, 100%.
Because I've had the biggest buck I've killed with my bow. He was quartered to me hard at like 8 or 10 yards tops, and I got so nervous. And I'm like, man, you got to stay off the shoulder. You got to stay off the shoulder. I was shooting a G5, and I had amazing luck with them, but I knew that a mechanical would not. It's not going to go through the shoulder. He was quartered hard.
Yeah.
So I put it right behind his shoulder. Well, quartered 2, I just straight gut shot him. I sliced one lung in half, and the rest was guts. And that deer lived, and none of the meat. I found him. He didn't go far, but none of the meat was good. I didn't find them until the next day. It was 60 degrees.
Yeah.
And I don't want that to ever happen again.
That's the
So
Even though you found
that's
them, it's
why
still
the switch.
Yeah,
a bad
that's
feeling.
why the last couple of years I've been thinking about doing that switch. And like I said, I shot the QAD Exodus. I did like that. I did have a single bevel for a year, and I was good up to 30, and I just wasn't confident enough, and I kept going back to mechanical. But I think this year or next year I'm really gonna make the switch and just tune my bow. And
Well, the mechanicals are easy to.
do.
A lot of guys like mechanicals, especially new archers, because I mean, a lot of them do fly like field points.
Yeah.
They don't have that
but
blade
you don't
profile.
you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, it's
you
just-
just
And in that dinner plate, they bleed.
Oh yeah, 100%. But if you're outside of that dinner plate,
yeah.
if you just
Yeah.
hit that scapula,
Yeah. You're in trouble.
you're ruined.
You're in trouble.
And I don't have anything against them. I mean, that's pretty much all I've shot my whole life. But I've just had that situation where you have a deer quartered to you that close or frontal, and you're not gonna. If you try it with a mechanical, you're gonna wound that deer. And I don't. I want to be able to kill that deer. I also am building points and want to go out west for elk.
Yeah.
And probably next year or the year after, I'm going to go.
I think a lot of those,
And-
some of those states don't even allow mechanicals.
Yeah, some of them don't.
Yeah,
But a lot of the times, those guys shoot elk frontal, and
they're coming into
they're
the
not
home.
shooting a mechanical.
No.
They're shooting a heavy fixed blade or one of them single bevels, and
Yeah.
they're just burying it in that thing's chest.
Yeah.
Or quartered two, and you shoot them right in the shoulder.
Yeah.
And
So my thought on it has, which is why I made the switch, is where do I want to be wrong at?
right,
Like do I want to be wrong in the better bleeding mechanical and give myself 270 degrees of the deer to shoot,
Right.
or do I want to be wrong in maybe something that bleeds a little bit less but have a 360?
yeah. That and honestly, if you hit a deer in the guts, it's not going to bleed that good anyways.
No.
Right.
Whether it's a mechanical or a single bevel, it doesn't
yeah.
matter. You shoot a deer in the shoulder with a mechanical, odds are you're not getting it.
I know guys who have shot deer.
It's going to punch that bone and then punch out.
Yeah.
Yep, I know guys who've shot deer in the shoulder shot them with mechanicals, and they're like, I found my entire arrow broke off at the ferrule.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, insert everything, the broadhead's just stuck in them.
Yeah.
I just seen a thing that it was either Iron Will or Grizzly Stick posted on one of their pages on Instagram, and they had done a pound test, how many pounds of force it took to penetrate a deer's hide. And for their broadhead, I can't remember which company it was, but their broadhead, it was, and I don't know the numbers, 10 pounds of force. For a mechanical, it was like 200 pounds of force, just for the hide,
Just like
just to penetrate
huge
hide.
difference.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
insane.
okay.
Yeah, astronomical difference. And
Well,
then
like-
same thing with the
like you
shoulder.
said, you
Or
got
a bone. in
You have to
general.
have that impact and that kinetic energy going, and as soon
lose
as
it
you
all.
hit,
Yeah.
you lose. Who knows how many, how
Well-
much percent of your impact rating just to get those blades to deploy, and then you have to try to shove something, 2.5, 3 inches wide
Right.
through that.
Yeah.
I mean, penetration's obviously going to be an issue.
Well, you have to go through a coarse hair, which can change the direction of your arrow. You have to go through the tough hide. You have to go through muscle tissue. Possibly have to go through bone,
Yeah.
whether it's shoulder or rib.
Yeah, even a rib.
And then you're hoping for enough energy to make it through the other side of the deer again. Like, I want as much energy as possible.
Yeah, and
That's where I'm
that's
at.
why
Yeah.
that's why you guys both shoot pretty heavy arrow setups.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm 6'12".
You're
Mine's
6'12".
575.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not setting the world on fire with speed, but
No.
if you're good at bow hunting, you don't need speed.
Yeah.
You can get you know how to you can get
In all
the deer
reality,
in.
when are you ever shooting past 40 yards? Where we live, at least.
Exactly.
I won't.
Hardly ever.
I won't. I have that 50-yard pin. I ain't gonna.
The longest shot I've ever taken on a deer with a bow is 24 yards.
I killed one at 50
good
one
numbers.
time.
Yeah. I've killed I don't know how many deer with a bow. The longest one was 24 yards.
I don't know if have I killed a deer past 20? I don't know that I have.
I hold myself to a stern,
Yeah.
like, if it's not 20, like, I don't really want it. Like, it's not meant to be. Like, I've passed on a lot of deer just because they're like, they're on that fringe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could, but they couldn't. It's 25, but she's kind of spooky. she has to pick me off, but she doesn't know. She knows something's not
Yeah.
right. And no, I'm not going to do it.
Doesn't take a whole lot.
I know on I think the last episode or last recording session that we had, not the last episode that we recorded, but I will take a longer poke this year. Like anything out to 40, I do feel comfortable with now with the setup and with the new bow and everything. But again, like you're making a big decision there. That is double my normal range. I need a lot of confidence in the setup, which after 4 years of messing around with the heavy arrow, with the single bevel, I have trust in it now.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what got me to this point.
To me, to shoot that far, it would have to be that deer is, I mean,
Yeah,
just
that has a
calm,
lot to do
cool.
with it, too.
He has no idea I'm there. He's, maybe like we got a lot of acorns this year. Maybe he's just slowly feeding on acorns.
It's a good acorn year, boy.
is.
Come on, October.
Bumper crop. But yeah, he'd have to be.
Yeah, if they
completely-
have you pegged and they're staring at you, that's a whole.
No, that's absolutely no go.
40 yards,
But he's
yeah.
got to be, I mean, just absolutely static. He just thinks he's alone. And I know I can get that shot off.
Yeah, it's not gonna drop 6 inches.
Right.
We have our producer over there squirming.
I'm gonna pee my pants.